Come to a comfortable cross-legged position. Bring your hands to rest on your legs, palms facing up and thumb and index finger to touch. Take a deep breath in through the nose and a big sigh breath out through the mouth. Check that you're comfortable. You might need to reshuffle your legs. And then lengthen into the crown of your head. Let your shoulders relax. Opening your eyes, we'll come into some deep yogic breathing like I'm showing here. So as you inhale, let your belly relax and then breathe into your side ribs, heart space. And then exhaling, relaxing your chest, and your belly slightly pulls back towards your spine. And then begin again, breathing in, belly relaxes, allow the chest to expand to the side, the front, the back, all the way to the top. And then breathing out, slowly releasing. Continue breathing this way, so we begin to use our full lung capacity. Take it easy. If you find it's a little bit too intense, just come into soft, relaxed belly breathing. You can add a count to the breath here. So as you breathe in, let your belly relax 1. Breathe into the side ribs 2. Heart space 3, and then breathing out 3, 2, 1. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3, and breathing out for 3, 2, 1. Continue on your own and just see how you go. Really feeling as if there's a balloon inside of your chest. And as you breathe in, you feel the balloon from the bottom, the side, the front, the top. And then as you breathe out, you gently deflate the balloon. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Face is soft, especially the jaw. Concentrating on breathing in and breathing out. And then after your next exhalation, let go of the deep breathing technique and settle back into your soft belly breath. Feel the sit bones sink down to the floor. Check that the spine is still beautiful and long, keeping the natural curvature of your spine. Broaden across the collarbones. Relax your shoulder blades down your back. Tiny tuck of your chin. And allow yourself just to pause, to sit. You might like to set an intention for your practice here today. Perhaps you'd like to focus on relaxation or letting go of stress and tension in the body. Whatever it may be for you in this moment. And then opening your eyes and change the cross of your legs. Bring your hands in prayer position and then inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Let the palms touch if possible, and exhale, draw your hands back down to your heart space. With your breath, inhale, circle the arms all the way up, and then exhale, bringing your right hand down to the floor for a side bend position. Placing your left hand behind your head and gently press the back of your head into the palm of your hand. Lift your gaze. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, curl forward, pointing your elbow towards your knee. Inhale, Lift and open through the chest, elbow points up to the sky. Exhale, fold and point your elbow towards your knee. Inhale, opening up like a page in a book. Exhaling, curling forward, hug your belly, tuck the chin. Inhaling, coming back up into your side bend. This time you might like to extend your top arm up and over, soften through your bottom elbow, chest facing forward. And then breathing in, open up through the chest. If it's too intense to have your arm facing up, bring it behind your back. On your next inhale, circle both arms up, and then exhale, placing your left hand down to the floor and extend your right arm up. And then place the back of your head against your palm. Really press the elbow towards the sky. Tuck the shoulder blades down your back, and then exhaling, curling forward, pointing your right elbow towards your knee. Inhale, coming up. And exhale, hollow the belly, round your back. Inhale, big breath in as you come up. Exhaling, curling forward, tuck the chin slightly. Inhaling, coming up, extend your top arm up and over, anchor down both your sit bones, feeling this beautiful side stretch. Drawing the shoulder blades down your back. Keep your head in a neutral position, then inhale, press into the bottom hand, lift that top arm, and exhale, draw your hands together to your heart space. We come into a position where we're going to lift the chest. I'm just facing side on. So draw the shoulder blades down your back. Some of you might like to tuck your chin down. And some of you might like to keep your gaze neutral or lift your gaze up, but don't drop the head all the way back. Option is to interlace your hands behind your back if it's available for you. Otherwise, keep your fingertips down onto the floor. And again, just checking in what feels most comfortable for your head and where you would like to keep your head position. There's no right or wrong here. What feels good for you. So exhale, release, and then we come around on all fours. So 4-point kneeling, hands are directly underneath your shoulders, knees and hips align, feet are hip width apart, and then tuck the toes under here, finding your neutral spine position. Cat-cow, so as you exhale, round into cat, and as you inhale, come into cow, tuck the toes under, lift the chest, your gaze. Exhale, round into cat, hug your belly towards your spine. Inhale, tuck the toes under again, feel the stretch through the front of the body. Exhale, release the feet, round into cat, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. Keep going with the rhythm of your breath. Feeling this nice stretch along the whole front and the back of your torso. Come back to a neutral spine position and just sway your hips from side to side. Keep pressing both hands equally down into the mat. You can come onto your forearms. And then bring your hands, one hand span in front. And we're going to do this beautiful circle. So tuck the toes under. And following more of an oval shape as you circle in one direction. Let your elbows soften. Your head can relax. It's a little bit like giving yourself a bit of a massage here. If it's too intense on your wrist, come onto your forearms. Now circle in the opposite direction. Have a little bit of a play with this movement. Again, there's no right or wrong. It's about feeling into your body. And then slowly come back into the center. Draw your knees to the width of the mat. Send your hips all the way back for child pose. You might like to fold your arms here and rest your forehead on your folded arms. You can also use a block or a cushion. Or you might prefer to extend your arms to the top of the mat and rest your forehead down onto the mat. Child pose is a resting pose. So it's all about softening and releasing down to the floor. Slowly, as you breathe in, coming out of the pose, keeping your knees nice and wide. This time taking your left arm underneath the right, palm facing up, extending your right arm all the way to the top of the mat. You might like to rest your head on a block or bring your head back down onto the floor. Letting that left shoulder sink down to the mat. Feeling a nice long length through both arms, sending energy into the fingertips. Let your belly soften, let your chest relax. And then on your next inhale, coming back into the center, and we change sides. So this time take your right arm underneath your left palm facing up. Walk your left hand to the top of the mat and resting on the right hand side of your face. Take deep, long, slow breaths here. Feeling a heaviness through the hips. Close your eyes. And then on your next inhalation, coming all the way up. Inhale, lift your gaze, walk the hands forward. Stay on cupped gate fingers if you like. You can also use your block again or a cushion underneath your head. Finding length through the side waist. If it's too intense to stay on cupcake fingers, then rest the palms of your hands back down onto the floor. On your next inhale, coming all the way back upright into a kneeling position. You can, of course, sit on a cushion or on a block. And then come back onto 4-point kneeling, knees and hips in alignment. And then we're going to turn our hands around so that the inner eyes of your elbows face to the front. And then turn them around again. So like you're walking your hands backwards and forwards, but you're keeping your hands and wrists in alignment with your shoulders. Option is to tuck the toes under if that gives you a little bit more support. But you can also relax the tops of the feet down to the floor. Keep hugging the belly towards the spine, and then we hold the position with our fingers facing towards our knees. And we're going to imagine that our wrists are like dinner plates, and we're going to circle around the edge of the dinner plate. You can make it smaller. Take your time, slowly circling in one direction, and you'll feel a stretch through the inner wrists, the inner forearms, and then begin to circle in the opposite direction. There's no hurry here. Take your time. Being mindful that you don't overarch through your lower back, so there's a gentle hugging of the belly, engaging the pelvic floor, the perineum. And then pausing here, press the hands into the floor, lift your gaze, and we're going to do cat-cow again, but this time with our hands still in this position. If it's a little too intense, then have your fingers facing forward. Remembering to always exhale as you round into cat, and to inhale when you come into cow, and you drop the belly, lift the chest through the gateway of your arms. As you exhale and round into cat, really press the hands into the floor, your shins. Inhale, tuck the toes under, let your belly relax. And also feel into the shoulder blades. So as you round into cat, let the shoulder blades move towards your head. And as you come into cow, let your shoulder blades move down your back. Now very, very slowly begin to peel the palms off the floor. Take your time, getting a nice stretch through the fingers, This is really good for your joints. See if you can come back into a kneeling position, taking it really slow to stretch through the fingers, and then gently, gently lifting them all the way up. Let your hands rest for a moment on your thighs. You might like to support by sitting on your blocks. You can also have a blanket or a cushion in between the shins and your buttocks. Interlace the fingers now and make this figure 8 with your wrist, because you'll need it and it's a nice massage here. Soften through the shoulders, let your head be in a neutral position. And now we're going to change the figure 8 in the other direction. I know it needs a little bit of thinking about, but see if you can figure it out. And then do some nice circling with the wrists, both directions, and then flick the hands and fingers, giving them a really good shake out, getting the blood circulation going. And then removing the blocks, just place them to the side of your mat. You can stay seated on the blocks. I'm just facing you so that you can see what we're doing to release through the shoulders. So breathing in, try to bring the elbows together. They don't have to touch if they can't. Lift the elbows all the way up. And then as you exhale, bring your arms sideways, push back into the shoulders, and then drop the elbows down. So we make this full circle. When you come halfway here, really squeeze the shoulder blades together, elbows push back, and on the same exhale you drop the elbows, and then inhale, bring the elbows forward all the way up to the sky, and exhale out to the side, back and down. Continue with your breath, making the movement nice and smooth. Bring the elbows forward and up, all the way back and down. Release the hands onto your legs. Take a nice deep breath in and out, and just do a few shoulder rolls, forward, back and down, releasing any last tension out of your shoulders. And then come to sit in a comfortable cross-legged position. Taking your belt, you can also use a strap or a normal belt or a cord. And then holding onto the belt, take a breath in, bring your arms up over and then back just to shoulder height like I'm showing you here. Hold it here. Bring your gaze down to the floor. Stay nice and long through the upper body, and then inhale, bring the arms back up, and exhale all the way back down. You might like to walk the hands in a little. Inhale, bring the arms back up. Exhale behind, focusing on expansiveness through the chest. Draw the shoulder blades together here. Keep the breath even. On your next inhale, bring the arms up over, and exhale down in front of your legs. One more time. Inhale, draw the arms up. Exhaling, feel the rib cage expand. Lift the sternum, your breastbone. Keep the gaze neutral. Soften through the hips. Keep the arms long. If you're bending the elbows, then you're holding the belt too tight, and then releasing. Just give your hands a little bit of a shake or rub them together. We tend to hold on to the belt for dear life, to give them a little reprieve here. Take a deep breath in and out. Good. Then take hold of the belt again. Take a deep breath in, draw the arms up overhead, and this time dropping your right hand down behind you. Pull the belt in opposite directions, still squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then on your next inhale, lift the back arm, and exhale, lower your left arm down. We sometimes lean a bit to the side here, so be mindful. Inhale, bring the back arm up, and exhaling, draw the right hand back down. Just notice any difference here. You might feel a little bit more expansive. Inhale, bring the arm back up, and exhale, left arm down. Remember to keep breathing, and on your next inhale, draw the arms up, and then exhale, drop the hands all the way behind you. Inhale, bring them up and overhead. Exhale, forward and down. And again, inhale, lengthen into the crown. Exhale, drop the hands all the way behind you. Keep the arms straight. Inhale, bring the arms up and overhead. Exhale, forward and down. Let go of the belt now. Just rolling the shoulders. We have a lot of tension in our shoulders. And then take one hand to your opposite shoulder. Give yourself a nice little massage here. So good. A little bit of self-care. And then the other shoulder. Nice. And then extending your legs out to the top of the mat for staff pose. Dorsiflex the feet, toes facing up. And then exhale, lengthen, point the toes. Do that a few more times, flexing and pointing. You might like to lean back a little more to support you. Ideally in staff pose, we sit nice and tall at a 90-degree level, torso to the legs. Do a few circles with your ankles. We tend to shove our feet into shoes and forget about nourishing them. Circle in the opposite direction. And then give them a good little shake. And then bring your feet all the way around to the back. And we come into 4-point kneeling here. So hands directly underneath the shoulders. And your knees stacked under the hips. We're going to do some wrist exercises here. So tuck the toes under and lift your knees up off the floor, hovering here, pressing the hands into the floor, and then exhale, drop the knees. Inhale, hovering your knees up off the floor. Exhale, drop the knees back down. And again, press the hips back, press your hands into the floor, and lowering back down to the mat. So this really helps to establish strength in the arms and shoulders and wrists. Do that one more time. Then release the feet down to the floor. Extend your right foot to the back of the mat. Press into the heel so you feel a calf stretch. And then changing sides. Press evenly through both arms. Lift through the chest. Lengthen into the back of your heel. Release. Tuck the toes back under, and then sitting back on your heels if possible. Interlace the hands behind your back, stretching out through the shoulders. Come back on all fours. And again, lifting the knees up off the floor, pressing up into downward facing dog. You might like to pedal the feet out, so doing some heel presses, alternating, bending one knee. Feet are hip width apart, so about the size of 2 fists. Your hands are shoulder width apart. Spread the fingers nice and wide. Lengthening through the side waist. Send your sit bones up towards the sky. And then exhale, lower the knees back down. You might like your block to sit on in your kneeling position, or a cushion or a blanket between the buttocks and the feet. Take a moment to pause here. Nice deep breath in and out. Staying where you are, I'm just going to show you from the front how your arms are in downward facing dog. So imagine you're pressing up to the ceiling, which might be the floor, and then lift your shoulders all the way up towards your ears, and then mindfully press the shoulders down and away from the ears. So that's the action that we need in downward facing dog. Not lifting the shoulders, but pressing the shoulders away from your ears and your neck. So let's try that. Come back on all fours. And tuck the toes under, press hands into the floor, lean back, lift up, downward facing dog, and then just drop into the shoulders and then press away from the shoulders, and just noticing what that feels like. Ideally, our ears line up with the arms, the bicep muscles gently spin forwards. You might like to press your thumb and index finger more firmly into the mat. You can bend your knees, you don't have to straighten the legs. It's more important in your downward facing dog that you lengthen through the torso and your arms. Remember to take your beautiful deep yogic breaths in and out. And then as you exhale next, come back down on all fours, and this time practicing downward facing dog with your hands underneath the blocks. And what this does, it elevates the floor, so you might find a little bit more space to lower your heels down to the floor. For any reason this makes you feel more unstable or uncomfortable, then you don't have to use the blocks, but it is a nice way to find that extra length. Good, and then exhale, drop the knees back down. Keep the blocks where they are. You might like to place them a bit wider, and we step our right foot forward for a low lunge. So our knee lines up above our right ankle. You might need to shuffle your right foot further a little more. Keep your hands on the blocks, chest lifted, so we're not arching through the upper back, gaze forward. You can bring your forearms onto your thigh if that makes it more comfortable, or change the angle of your blocks. You can also push out of the lunge a little, which I like to do. If there's any sensation in your left knee, place a cushion underneath your left knee. Hug your right thigh into the hip socket, and if you like, maybe draw the arms up overhead. Keep your hands shoulder width apart, or you can drop them back down onto the blocks. You can release the back foot to lower into a deeper lunge, so you feel the stretch through your left front hip, stretching your hip flexors. There is an action of slightly hugging your right heel back, pushing the left knee forward, like you're scissoring the legs in towards each other to keep your pelvis in a beautiful neutral position and give you more stability. Slowly straighten your right leg. It doesn't have to straighten all the way. You can peel the sole of the foot up off the floor or not. It doesn't really matter as long as you feel a stretch through the back of your right leg, still hugging the right thigh into your hips. Let's release the pose and come to the other side. So step your left foot forward. Sometimes you need to assist to step it forward, lining up your knee with your ankle. Lifting the chest. You can move the blocks any way you like. Gently hugging the left thigh into the hip socket. Keep the chest beautiful and open, heart lifted, shoulder blades relaxed down the back. And softening into the hips. And if your right knee feels uncomfortable, you can always place a towel underneath it. You might like to inhale, draw the arms up overhead. Feel that action of drawing the left heel back, right knee forward. And then lower the hands back down. Walk the blocks back a little to assist you to keep the chest upright, so we're not collapsing the chest forward. Keep your heart space lifted. You might like to dorsiflex your left foot. Long deep breaths here. Still hugging your left thigh into the hip socket. Lengthen into the crown of the head, and then exhale. Walk the blocks forward, come into the lunge, and then step back on all fours. Tuck the toes under, lift up into downward facing dog, with or without the blocks. If you don't feel like doing a downward facing dog, you can stay on all fours and do some cat-cow stretches instead. If you're in your downward facing dog, equal pressure through both hands, lift the hips, and then exhale, lower the knees back down. And we step forward between the blocks. Take the blocks in front of you for support, or you can just drop your hands down to the floor as well. Whatever is comfortable as you rest here in your forward fold. Take a deep breath in, lengthen into the crown of the head now, and then lift the chest, and then exhale, fold forward. Do that again. Inhale, lift halfway up, and then hug the belly towards your spine. Knees stay bent. Long line from your tailbone to the crown of the head, and then exhale, fold forward. Let the crown of the head release down to the floor. You might like to shake the head a little from side to side. The next inhale, place your hands on the blocks, line up with your spine, come all the way up to standing. Release the palms facing forward. Draw the shoulder blades down your back. You can stay where you are. I'm just facing you so you can see to line up your front hip bones with your knees and ankles so that your joints stack. Chest is beautiful and open. Little tiny bend through the knees so that we can lengthen the sit bones down to the floor, keeping your pelvis in a neutral position. Ground down through the feet. Lengthen into the crown of your head. Let's inhale, circle the arms up and overhead. And then exhaling, bend your knees, pivot forward from the hips, come halfway, lower your hands onto the blocks and fold forward. Inhale, come back up halfway. Pause for an exhale, place your hands on the hips. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. Release the hands. Next inhale, draw the arms up overhead, and exhale, hands come in prayer position to your heart space. Inhale, circle the arms up. Exhale, draw the arms wide, pivot forward, keep the spine long. Place your hands on the blocks, and then exhale, fold to soften. Nice. Take a few breaths here. And on your next inhale, come up halfway. Arms come wide, reverse swan dive, come all the way up into tall mountain. Exhale, hands to heart space. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Exhale, swan dive forward, knees bent, spine long. And then exhaling all the way, soften into your forward fold. You can keep the blocks where they are, or put them to the side. Inhale, half lift. Try to bring your hands to your shins. And then we step back into plank position and lower the knees down to the floor. You can use your blocks or no blocks. Lift back up into downward facing dog. I find the blocks help to elevate the floor. Remember to draw the shoulder blades down your back. Exhale, float the knees down. You might like to change the angle of the block to help you step your right foot forward into a low lunge. Inhale, draw the arms up, move the hips back. Exhale, sink into the lunge. Place your hands on your hips, keeping the chest facing forward. Broaden across the collarbones. And then exhale, reach your hands down to the floor or the blocks. Step back. And then changing side, step your left foot forward for a low lunge. And then inhale, draw the arms up and overhead, shift the hips back. As you exhale, sink into the hips, keep the body nice and tall. Sometimes it's nice to bring your arms in cactus arms, bend the elbows, and then release your hands back down onto the hips. Exhale, bring your hands down to the floor and step back on all fours. And either keeping the blocks or removing the blocks to come back up into downward facing dog. Beautiful. Take a nice long breath in. Long exhale. Lift the hips nice and high. Spread the fingers, your gaze to your knees. And then exhale. Float your knees back down. And we'll do a few cat-cow stretches here just to release any tension out of your body. Remembering to exhale as you round into cat, hollow the belly, and then inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, cow pose. This time step back to the top of the mat, feet are hip width apart. Inhale, half lift, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up to standing tall mountain, lift the arms up overhead, palms meet. Exhale, draw your hands to your heart space. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up, tall mountain. Exhale, pivot forward, swan dive down to the floor, relax your head. Inhale, half lift, slide your hands to your shins, flat back position. And exhale, stepping your right foot back. Inhale, draw the arms up. And exhale, sink into your lunge. Draw the arms wide, maybe cactus arms. And then exhale, lower the hands down to the floor. Step your foot back into downward facing dog. And then exhale, drop both knees down to the mat. Chest and chin slide onto your belly, coming into Sphinx pose, onto your forearms, elbows underneath the shoulders. Lift your kneecaps up off the floor, press the tops of the feet firmly down into the mat. And then exhale, place your hands under the shoulders, shift the hips back into child pose, resting your forehead down to the mat. Take a nice deep breath in and out, and on your next inhale, lift back up, downward facing dog. And then exhale, stepping your right foot forward. Inhale, draw the arms up and overhead, cactus arms, open up through the chest. As you exhale, reach the hands down, framing your front foot, and then step to the top of the mat. Fold forward. Inhaling, bending your knees, slowly rolling up vertebra by vertebra, and then stretch your arms up overhead, tall mountain. Exhale, draw your hands to your heart space. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up, tall mountain. Exhale, swan dive down. Relax the head. Inhale, halfway lift. Slide your hands to your shins, flat back position. Exhale, your left foot steps back. Lower the knee down. Inhale, draw the arms up and overhead for your lunge. Cactus arms, or maybe interlace your hands behind your back instead. Lifting through the chest, gaze is forward. Exhale, hands frame the front foot, step back, downward facing dog. Take a breath in. And exhale, float both knees down to the mat. Tuck the toes under, lower the chest. Belly, lift the chest now into Sphinx. Activate through the legs. Broaden across the collarbones. And then move back into child pose. You might like to release your arms beside your legs, or bring your knees wide, whatever is comfortable for you to rest in your child pose. And then slowly coming back up into downward facing dog. Lift the sit bones, press the chest toward your legs. Option to float your left leg up to the sky. You can always lower your right knee down to the mat. And then stepping your left foot forward next to your left thumb. So choosing whichever version works for you. Coming into your lunge position here. Lower the right knee down to the mat. Inhale, both arms come up. Shift the hips back. Exhale, sink into the lunge. Maybe cactus arms, or interlace your hands behind your back. Keep hugging your left heel back, right knee forward. Broaden across the chest, and then exhale, lower the hands down and step to the top of your mat. Feet are hip width apart. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, reverse swan dive all the way back up into tall mountain. Exhale, hands to heart. Coming into mountain pose, palms facing forward. Take a few moments to pause, to notice how you're feeling in this moment. You might like to take a deep breath in and a big sigh out. And then we come down to sitting on our yoga mat. Stretch the legs out to the front of the mat. And we'll come into a seated forward fold. In this pose, we tend to, in Dandasana, the staff pose, we tend to sort of flare through the rib cage. But sit nice and tall. You might bring your feet hip width apart, bend your knees, and then fold forward. You can even fold your arms, making a cushion, or take a block, or a pillow, or a bolster, and letting your whole back soften. You should feel a stretch through the backs of your legs, the hamstrings, maybe your lower back, maybe across your upper back. And resting your forehead helps to relax your nervous system. You don't have to use any of these props. You can also place a blanket or a rolled up towel underneath your bent knees. Or you might like to use your strap. Loop it around the balls of your feet. Press the legs down to the floor. Pull onto the belt, bring the elbows wide, keep your spine nice and long so the front body lifts. Of course, option is to bend your knees, so try not to collapse through the upper body like I was showing you. Let your in-breath lengthen into the crown of the head, and as you exhale, slowly soften into the pose. Keeping the shoulders down and away from your ears. Your neck is in a long line with your spine, so look down towards your shins or the tops of your feet. Keep pressing the legs down into the floor if possible. Feel the sensation of spreading the sit bones nice and wide. And then coming out of the pose. Lifting upright, and then draw the soles of the feet together, coming into the butterfly pose. And we're going to do some nice circles here. Circling in one direction, you can move the elbows, the shoulders, your head. It's again a bit more of a massage, and then circle in the opposite direction. This is kind of a free flow movement, knowing that we're coming towards the end of our practice, being kind to ourselves. Take a moment to pause now. You might like to slide your hands to your shins. You can draw the feet closer in towards the body or further away. You can also place a bolster underneath both knees, sliding it through, or taking your blocks under your legs for support. Some of you might need to place the hands beside you to sit in an upright position. Let your chin tuck down to soften through the neck, but keep the chest wide and open, especially through the collarbones. Soften through the pelvic floor, the perineum. Take a deep breath in and out. And some of you might like no props, where you clasp your hands around the tops of the feet, hug the elbows in, broaden across the collarbones, and shoulder blades soften down your back. Relax your face, especially the jaw. And on your next in-breath, release the pose. Check that you have enough space behind you. We'll come into windscreen wipers, so feet are to the width of the mat. Keep the chest lifted and just moving from side to side, massaging the hips, the buttocks. You might like to look behind you, adding in a little bit of a twist. And then shifting forward a little to come onto your forearms. Keep the chest lifted so you're not collapsing. Continue with your windscreen wipers from side to side. You might like to slow the movement down now. Inhale to bring the knees up. Exhale, bring your knees over to the side. And then come to rest onto your whole back body. You might need to bring the feet in a little closer. Still continue with your windscreen wipers from side to side, and we'll come into a lying down twist here. So the next time you bring your knees over to your right hand side, pausing here, you might like to turn your head to the left only if it feels comfortable for your neck and shoulders. Nice long deep breath in and out. Letting your body pause here, nurturing and nourishing the cells in your body. On your next inhale, bring your legs back into the center. Exhale, let your knees drop to the left. And you might like to turn your head to the right. Your arms don't have to be straight, they can bend in that cactus formation, or you might like to lower or lift the arms a little higher. Whatever is comfortable, try to keep both the whole shoulder girdle down onto the floor if possible. And of course, you can move your feet a little if that makes it more comfortable for you. Once you're in the pose, take a deep breath in, big sigh out, and then let your breath relax into its own natural rhythm. Let your body soften, especially your face, your eyes, your jaw. Let your eyes close. On your next inhale, come back into the center. And then hugging your knees in towards your chest. You might like to drop the knees wide instead and rocking from side to side. Or you might prefer to circle, massaging your lower back. If you're circling, then also circle in the opposite direction. You might like to bring your forehead towards your knees for a final hug. And then stretch your legs all the way out to the top of the mat. Draw the feet wide, arms rest beside your body. You can always place a cushion under your head, bolster under your knees. Get comfortable. If you need to cover yourself with a blanket, resting in Savasana. Letting the whole back of your body become limp and heavy, sinking down towards the floor. For in this moment there is absolutely nothing to do and nothing to get. Let your whole body soften, your feet, your legs, your hips, your lower back and upper back. Soften through the hands and arms, your shoulders, the back of your head. Noticing the soft rhythm of the breath in your belly, like the ebb and flow of the ocean. Allow the natural breath to relax you more and more. And very slowly become aware again that you're resting on the yoga mat. Become aware of your surroundings. your body in contact with the floor. And slowly you might like to wriggle the toes, wriggle the fingers. You might like to take a deep breath in and stretch and yawn your body awake. And then rolling over towards your side. Take a few moments to pause here. And coming up right to a comfortable seat. Bringing your hands to your heart space. And as you close your eyes, give yourself a thank you for having practiced your yoga, asana practice today. Namaste.